Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for March of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening for you in March. Well, Virgo, let's start with Ceres, an asteroid goddess you may be fond of, and then move on to Juno. Ceres is traveling along through Libra, and she's gone retrograde. She's in your second house, which is her favorite house to be in, really. It's where she's most at home and comfortable. And so she really wants you to pay attention to your physical self-care, stewardship, and habits. What are the ways that you eat and nourish yourself? What are the ways that you take care of your body? And what are the ways that you manage your money? How do you maintain your sense of physical security and feel anchored nicely in your body? So because she's retrograde, all of these things may be coming up that are ways that these habits of yours have become kind of broken. They've sort of fallen apart over time. And Ceres is telling you it's time to rebalance these things. She is in Libra after all. So this is a really good time for that. Ceres went retrograde last month in the beginning of the month, and she's going to be retrograde through March and April and into early May. So there's plenty of time to sort things out. And it's a really, really good time to just reorganize your finances in particular and set up better habits around that. Next thing I want to talk about is Juno. She starts the month in the 8th house right here, where she's been bringing a very partnerly sensibility to your sharing realm. That's the 8th house. And so it wouldn't be surprising if you'd had some honest conversations with a business partner or a spouse, where perhaps somebody had the occasion to be very direct, maybe even forceful. This is traveling along through Aries after all. And she is getting ready to leave this house, so hopefully the air has been cleared. But while Juno is in the 8th house, it's a really good time for having those intimate conversations with your partner about how things are going on the levels of life that largely live under the, unconsciously, shall we say. We'd like to think that our finances with our spouse just runs along without us just fine, without our attention, but a transit like this can provide an occasion for looking at it together, and that can be a really good thing. So Juno then, a little bit later in the month on the 11th, moves on into your 9th house. This is a house that just feels so very different from the 8th house. It's a house of excitement and enthusiasm, travel and adventure, exploration, expansion, and growth. And when Juno moves into this house, she's definitely feeling not quite so hyper-focused on the partner and the partnership. She's up for adventures. So this is a really good one for traveling together, having fun together, taking some trips, or engaging in some form of personal growth that you do with your partner. So if, for example, you have a business partner, this might be a good time to bring in somebody from outside the business who can do some, team building exercises, get people having fun and having adventures, maybe get people outside, or can otherwise introduce some growth into the business that you and your partner have created. So I think there's a lot of fun to be had there. Julia, I know you've got some news about Venus. What's that stuff?
Oh, I certainly do. Hey there, Virgo. Venus starts the month in your 8th house. She's the planet of pleasure and luck and relationship. And the 8th house is a financial house, especially having to do with the finances of other people or finances you make through institutions such as stocks, investments, loans, mortgages. And so Venus in the 8th house is a good time to have a little bit of extra money luck. Maybe your partner makes some money and shares it with you. Maybe your mom lends you some money, or maybe things go well remortgaging your house, for example. Then by March 16th, Venus enters your 9th house. This is a house of travel, and Venus is where we find pleasure. So you're going to be dreaming about or planning your next trip, or maybe you're lucky enough to go on a spring break and just kind of enjoy yourself. This can be a wonderful time for a holiday romance too, if you happen to be single. And if you're in a relationship, you know, whether you can travel or not, you're going to want to have some adventures with your partner. You're going to want to try and do new things together, or maybe even do something intellectual together, like go to a talk, for example. Now, Mercury, the planet that represents your mind, spends the first day of the month in your 6th house, where you might be very focused on being organized in your life. But by the 2nd, Mercury enters your 7th house, the house that rules your romantic relationship. So you might notice there's an increase in communication with you and your partner, that you guys are connecting and socializing a lot more together. If you're single, maybe you're thinking a lot about relationships now, and it can be a wonderful transit for hiring people for advice too, which are also contractors are ruled by the 7th house. Then by March 18th, Mercury enters the 8th house, just a couple of days later after Venus leaves here. So your mind will be very much on finances. You could be planning, strategizing, or communicating about money, especially with the people closest to you. And it can be a fabulous transit for if you have to do any research and investigation in your life, because the 8th house is all about digging down to discover hidden things. Now, Mars, good news here. Mars has been in your 10th house for a number of months since last fall, and he did a whole retrograde cycle here. That's why he spent so long in this house. Usually it's just 2 months per house, but it's been a long time. And the 10th house represents your career as well as authority figures. So for the past few months, you may have had to deal with a lot of challenges and frustrations and conflict, all these things ruled by Mars in your career. Maybe not getting along so well with people that you work with, or maybe getting a bit frustrated with what's going on at your job, maybe a little bit more impulsive at work, wanting to switch jobs around. And if you do have authority figures in your life, which we all do, whether it's a government official because we run our own business, or whether it's a boss or a parent or a teacher, this could definitely have been a time of more conflict with them. But by March 25th, Mars is going to leave this house and enter your 11th. It'll be nice to get a shift here, to get a break from all that 10th house, you know, all those 10th house flare-ups. And then Mars will move into your 11th house of friends, as well as long-term goals. So this can be a time where you're really motivated to achieve some of your long-term goals, to work towards it. But it can also be a time of kind of frustration and impatience in terms of achieving them, because Mars is super impatient. He wanted everything yesterday, and the 11th house takes some time to realize. And Mars usually doesn't have the patience. This can also be a time of maybe more flare-ups with your friendship circles or any groups you're a part of. The 11th house rules professional associations, unions, clubs, societies, gamer circles. But if you guys find a way to get a collective effort done together, since Mars can be our drive, that's definitely a higher use of this transit.
So true. Well, let's talk about the full moon in Virgo that's happening on March 7th, landing right here in your 1st house, Virgo. So you might feel this one personally, and it's likely to bring up stronger emotions in you. Full moons are times of high emotion, and you might be feeling like that really applies to you personally. There's a lovely trine from this moon over to Uranus, and it's partially for that reason that we're calling this moon Shape and Mold in Your Quirky Way. Now, the moon in Virgo does like to shape and mold. It likes to perfect and hone, and the moon derives some satisfaction and some sense of even comfort from that. And so the moon in Virgo does like to shape and mold, and you may identify with that. Then the trine to Uranus can let you do it in ways that are quirky and eccentric, even a little bit weird, and yet you can still create some innovation, bring in some new ideas, and you'll find that other people are receptive during this moon because of the way that Uranus not only trines the moon, but it sextiles the sun as well. The thing that's stressful about this moon, and it's not much, it's not as much as the harmony, but it's this Mars right here, inserting some irritation and annoyance into this moon, unfortunately. So you might have to curb your tongue here and there as you're relating to other people, hold back your own irritation, but by and large, it's a pretty nice moon, I think, especially for Virgo. So then we have the seasonal change, which happens on the 20th, right here. And let me just move this forward. Yeah, there we see it. The sun moving right there into Aries, which is your 8th house. So the sun generally spends about 30 days doing each of its zodiac sign seasons. And when it crosses over, leaving Pisces and entering Aries, it begins its year. This is the very force of spring that lights the spark that begins everything. So there's so much of a feeling of freshness and newness and enthusiasm and energy and drive when the sun moves into Aries. It's going to be traveling along your 8th house for about 30 days from the 20th. And so wherever the sun goes, it's good to bring your high quality attention, because attention is like sunlight. You want to spread it around and it can help things to thrive and grow. And the 8th house, however, is a place that's one of the more hidden and mysterious houses of the chart. This represents intimacy in all its forms, physically, emotionally, financially, and sharing in those 3 forms as well. And so when the sun comes into this house, it's a good idea to shine the spotlight of attention on your sex life and actually look at it with your partner instead of just assuming that it should go on by itself without anybody having to pay attention to it. Put some attention on the finances that you share with your partner. Put some attention on how you share emotionally with your partner while the sun is passing along through the 8th house. And there's just a massive emphasis on this during this month with a lot of planets piled up right there. Now, we can also see that the moon joins the sun on the 21st, right here. New moon in Aries, also in your 8th house. New moons are times of new beginnings. There's a feeling of freshness to a new moon, just full stop. But when it falls in Aries, how much more so? So much drive, so much aliveness and excitement to this new moon. We're calling it Clear Your Head and Begin Your Expedition, because this new moon includes a conjunction to Mercury, planet of the mind, the thoughts, the head. This Mercury likes to really express himself and say what's on his mind. He's in Aries after all. So this Mercury could be a little bit blunt or a little bit sharp, oddly. And so that's something to watch out for. But really my main point about this moon is that it's so good for sparking a new beginning, especially if it's the beginning of something that's truly adventurous. A real expedition, a real quest, something truly heroic. And if you want to understand more about these moons, you can find out all about them in the videos that we made, which are posted on our monthly forecast page at our website, pandoraastrology.com. And you can find out about the other news of the month too. And you can find your way over to the horoscopes page, where you can check out your other horoscope. If Virgo is your sun sign, you'll want to check your rising sign horoscope, and vice versa.
If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
Horoscopes are fun, but they're also really general. If you want to explore this month's themes more personally, we'd love to meet with you in a real live reading where you can gain powerful insights and learn what you need to make the big decisions in your career, family, or relationship. You'll find the link in the description below. Enjoy this beautiful springtime, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.